say this a lot, but the ego is the idea that you are anything. It's the knowledge that you have in your head. It is you. It is the sense of self that you go and portray to other people. But let's be honest, we all know now there is no ego, right? If you didn't already know, all your past experiences have conditioned you for this thing that we consider reality. And a lot of the times we get stuck in that reality. That is what our ego does. It keeps us stagnant and it keeps us without improvement. I'm here to change that. When you just have that base grasp understanding of being able to identify your ego, you start to step into the very first stage, which is the reflectiveness of the mind. It's kind of like your reflection on the ego. When you are ensnared by your own mind, it takes away the idea that you have any self-improvement left. It's almost as if the idea of you is a perfect being as you are, and there is no room for improvement. Now, that is ego talk. We don't do that. Now, the big problem with the ego is trying to identify what it is. How do I figure it out? And how do I watch my ego so I can become more self-reflective? I got you. Anything that you think about yourself is the ego. You literally can be whatever you want to be. Go down whatever path you want. You can be as bad or as good as you want. This is your life. There is nobody that's stopping you from being the real you. But what you consider to be the real you and you going within your own boundaries, those boundaries are set up by blockage in your brain. That's because you just never gave yourself the self-love to go and tell yourself that you can move past it. But when you finally start to be able to reflect and see, oh shit, maybe it is just me, then at some point, you can just brush that to the side. That thing that you kept saying that you could never be, that's a lie. You're lying to yourself. There is no such thing as fact. What we consider to be fact is mere illusion to things that we call important to ourselves. Given technological advances, now the idea of fact is becoming a cumulative thought because we are now connected within the whole world. We have shared knowledge and we also have a shared database amongst everybody. And it's almost as if now life has went from being endless thought to being endlessly suppressed with thought. There's a lot more egotism and there's a lot more selflessness than there was previously. Everything in our life resonates because of our past. Our past is how we know how to react. Our past is what causes us to speak to people, how we avoid people, what decisions we make. All of it is a reflection of the past. And we need to realize that in order to become stepped out of your ego. Your past does not make you who you are. You are living in the present. If you cannot change yourself in the present, then you are stuck in your own ego. And that you require a lot of research. I like to talk these things out because it helps me solidify my belief system and it helps me recreate the idea that I kept having for myself that I could never be a spiritual being and I could never appeal to a God. My God is different from everybody else's God, and I'm okay with that. Nobody's going to tell me that I'm wrong and nobody's going to tell me that I'm right because that's their ego. Everything is the ego. Fighting your ego is not a 1 week thing. It's not a 1 month thing. It may not even be a 1 year thing. But as long as you are aware of the steps to go to enlightenment, you will achieve what you are looking for. We are creationary beings. We are meant to succeed. We are meant to do what we were supposed to do. But don't let this discourage you. Egolessness is not an excuse for ignorance. Everybody has something that they can work on. And that's what I'm here to express. On the next set of videos, I'm going to teach you the second step. Alright, I got super impatient and I didn't really want to feel like waiting. So the second step is self-purification. During your journey of the ego, you will come to a point that you start self-reflecting on your habits, on the things that you don't like about yourself. The thing about feeling down and hating yourself is that you shouldn't hate yourself and then just mull over it. You should hate yourself and try to change things. That's why we're on this earth. is here to change. We are creationary. This is where you really need to reflect on your self-indulgence. When I say self-indulgence, believe me, this is a big umbrella term for anything that you would perceive to be negative in your life. You need to relieve yourself of that. For most people, it's their phones. You cannot be in a party for more than 5 minutes without seeing somebody going on their phone. You cannot see somebody going into any social event without having to record something, without having to use their ego to go and flex their face. Like, yeah, look at my jawline, look at my jaw. I don't give a fuck. You need to free yourself from habitual thoughts and routines, but obviously not the ones like brushing your teeth. You need to brush your teeth. You need to be able to exercise a higher mental plane by resisting the urges to do the negative things in your life. Some people's is smoking, some people's is drinking, some people is pill binging, some people is partying every day, some people is just, being fucking lazy, go to the gym. Once you make it a regular thing to let go of the things that you're going to let go, and you start putting it into practice, eventually you start to notice that your body and mind will start to just naturally reject it. It will just start to push it away. And the more that we try to force things to happen, the less likely it's going to happen. We don't want to be contracted. We want to be expressive. We want to be able to put that energy out instead of keeping it bottled in. If it's bottled within, it cannot manifest itself into reality. But if you expand your idea, and if you expand that knowledge and idea, then eventually you will get what you're looking for. Just because you are putting into practice the second stage does not exempt you from being in the first stage. If you find yourself lacking in the first stage again, it's time to go back and do some more work. You're not done. And maybe you want to keep working on that second stage, go for it. But just remember, you're not done. You need to go and focus on that.